Have you ever walked by a sculpture and thought, if this falls over, I'm definitely going to be crushed to death? That's a thought that Richard Serra's works have given me on multiple occasions. Serra's known for producing massive, rusted patina looking steel sculptures that have enormous scale and are capable of producing a myriad of perceptions and emotions when you're standing next to these massive pieces. He was encouraged to draw by his mother, who would introduce young Serra as Richard the Artist. In his formative adult years, he studied painting at Yale, where he would eventually complete his MFA in 1964. Also in 1964, he was awarded a one-year traveling fellowship from Yale, through which he would travel to Paris and would meet composer Philip Glass, who became a friend and collaborator of Serra's. In Paris, he would be exposed to the works of sculptor Constantin Brancusi, which perhaps sparked some inspiration to move away from painting and into sculpture himself. It was in Spain a couple years later at the Prado Museum in Madrid where he would see Velázquez's Las Meninas and decide that he would never exceed the skill of the master Velázquez, and that he would move away from painting entirely despite spending his early years and formal training as a painter. He moved to New York in 1966, and this would be where his sculptural journey would begin. His early works would be constructed out of latex, fiberglass, rubber, and often lead due to its soft qualities. After several years of making smaller sculptures, he'd have a breakthrough while making some temporary structures for a LACMA exhibition in 1969. Here he spent 10 weeks building a number of temporary stacked steel pieces in the Kaiser Steel Yard using a crane to explore the physical properties of steel at a far larger scale. He'd soon travel to Japan and make some of his earliest outdoor sculptures in Tokyo's Ueno Park. Over the next few decades, he'd be wildly prolific in his output, creating site-specific installations all over the world. One of the great things about his large outdoor pieces is their accessibility. They're not relegated to the confines of a gallery or private collection, and in many cases, not even a museum. They just exist in the world, often designed for specific natural spaces where they live. Visitors can touch the pieces, walk in and around the pieces. There's something quite unique about his sculpture in this sense. They invite you to interact with them in ways that other sculptural forms often do not. His pieces can evoke this sense of awe and wonder at the scale, coupled with a little bit of fear at the sheer size and imposition of these big steel shapes. For his large sculptural pieces, Serra worked almost exclusively with industrial steel. Raw, heavy, weathered, and in these pieces, the weight and the scale of the piece is the message. But he didn't just make steel sculpture, he also did his fair share of printmaking as well as film and video works. He explores space, gravity, balance, disorientation. His sculptures can make you feel small, perhaps fragile, vulnerable. Speaking about his sculpture, he once said, "The viewer becomes aware of himself and his movement through the plaza. As he moves, the sculpture changes. Contraction and expansion of the sculpture result from the viewer's movement. Step by step, the perception not only of the sculpture, but of the entire environment changes."